are listening to the Friday Five here on the Agent Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and this is our weekly list of 5 things you should know about. Joining me today is Lincoln Lafayette to talk about a great opportunity for agents. More on that in a minute, but for right now, let's get into our list. Number 5. Last summer, we reported on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's proposal to ban medical debt from being added to credit reports. Quick timeline of events here. In January 2025, the Biden-era CFPB finalized the regulation with calls for a March 2025 start date. Lawsuits popped up against the regulation almost immediately, as they often do. This one was brought by the Cornerstone Credit Union League and the Consumer Data Industry Association. The regulation was one of many paused and put under look-back review when President Trump took office. In February, after mass layoffs at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a lawsuit was filed to try and uphold the Biden-era rule. At the end of April, the new Trump administration CFPB filed a joint motion to agree with the plaintiffs in the lawsuit, hearkening back to the repeal of the Chevron deference, that the Biden-era rule was an overreach of CFPB authority. And then in June, a hearing was held between all of these parties and more filings were made. Last Friday, U.S. District Judge made his decision in favor of the plaintiffs and CFPB, effectively vacating the rule. Currently, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, the nationwide credit reporting agencies, or NCRAs, do not include medical debt reports of under $500, medical debt that is under a year old, or medical debt that has been paid. The vacated regulation would have prevented all medical debt from being included on personal credit reports. We will have links to each of those agencies' information on medical debt linked in the episode notes. Number 4, we've talked about notebooklm before here on the show, the AI-powered tool that lets users add documents and source material to a single notebook, which can then function as a specialized AI assistant utilizing only that information. I've mentioned that I think this would be fantastic for helping my daughter with her homework. I have not yet had the opportunity to create a notebook for that occasion just yet, but I did use a whole lot of AI assistants to help with some statistic-related math homework at the end of last year. This week, Google launched what they're calling featured notebooks from a variety of different sources. Their press release describes collaboration with, quote, respected authors, researchers, publications, and nonprofits around the world to create featured notebooks, end quote. In that announcement, they named their first set of releases, one of which is the complete works of William Shakespeare. Another includes, quote, Q1 earnings reports from the top 50 companies worldwide, end quote. What I think Google is getting right with this new feature is that Google has shown a lot of different examples of how users can create their own notebook LM. They've also done right by original creators by partnering with the people who own the source material. One of the biggest drawbacks to wider scale AI adoption has been more about what to use it for rather than how to actually use it. And another drawback is the very real concern of taking jobs away from humans by streamlining the technology involved. So I think this is an interesting move. Well played on the part of Google. I'm curious to see how this first lineup fares and whether or not the general public will be receptive to the idea. Number 3, after covering Apple's WWDC event for a Friday 5 episode back in June, I said I would report back if I heard any good Apple-related rumors. I've heard one, so here we are. And rumor has it, the public beta of iOS 26 is coming out around July 23rd. That is according to Mark Gurman, tech journo for Bloomberg News and well known for his Apple rumor accuracy. We will have the link to his post on X, as well as links to a Mac rumors write-up on potential colors for the upcoming iPhone 17. Number 2, another short mention here, but one that, despite my love for Threads, I was kind of surprised to see. It's been a minute since I checked in on how Threads was doing versus some of the other social networks out there, and it turns out, at least on mobile, Threads is picking up steam. In data reported by SimilarWeb, after June 2025 reports, daily active users on the Threads app reached 115.1 million. The X app came in with 132 million active daily users. Interesting that over time, Threads has seen a steady uptick in usage on their app, while X has seen decreasing usership over the same period of time, plus a few sharper dips to get to these current numbers. Blue Sky, on the other hand, which is often touted as the more formidable X alternative, has 37 million registered users, but just 4.1 million daily active users for that same time frame. Looking at global web traffic, however, X is still leaps and bounds ahead of both Threads and Blue Sky. For June 2025, X averaged 145.8 million visits. Threads had 6.9 million, and Blue Sky had 5.3 million. Very interesting to see how Threads is continuing to grow in the mobile space. And just this week, Meta started testing Threads registration through Facebook accounts rather than Instagram. The option isn't widely available just yet, but looking at some April 2025 user comparison stats, 78% of Facebook users also use Instagram, while 80.1% of Instagram users also use Facebook. A lot of crossover there, but still some opportunity to convert users. We will have links to those stats and more information on the Threads Facebook login test in the episode notes. And now, coming in at number 1, let's talk dual-eligible special needs plans. Joining us today here on the podcast, we have Lincoln Lafayette. Welcome to the podcast, Lincoln.
Thank you, Sarah.
So you are here to invite our listeners to some very special events you will be holding in the coming weeks. Before we talk about those events, can you just give us a little background, who you are and what you do here at Ritter Insurance Marketing?
Wow, that's a pretty deep question. Yeah, I had an agency, a wholesale brokerage agency called Quick Insure Brokerage. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we were looking for a partner. We'd kind of grown and we needed some extra infrastructure support. So Craig and I began talking and ultimately sold our agency to Ritter Insurance Marketing back in the beginning part of 2021. So we became a wholly owned entity of Ritter Insurance Marketing. I run the division called Quick Insure Brokerage subsidiary. We focus on 5 or 6 states here in the Midwest, and kind of Georgia as an outlier because we had a lot of connections in Georgia.
We always love to hear about the different ways that we have grown here at Ritter, and it's always exciting to talk to our different partners. And today you have a very cool event that you guys are holding in some of those Midwestern states to talk about a new opportunity that is a little bit different than I think some of the things that we've seen in past years. So I will let you take it away. What do you have going on right now?
Well, right now, CMS has made changes in regulations tied to dual SNPs. And so fully integrated dual SNPs now, starting in 2027, have to be with carriers that have both Medicaid and Medicare. They do the operational support and handle the administration on both sides. That has not been the way it has been historically. And there's been about 10 different demonstration projects around the country with 10 different states participating. CMS has ended those starting in 2027, and each state is selecting different carriers, and each state's going about it a little differently. Illinois put it out to bid, and they have 4 carriers that they've selected that will be their fully integrated dual eligible administrators starting in 2026 and as we move forward. So very interesting, and there's some huge opportunities. Use Illinois as an example. They've got over 350,000 people that are eligible for a dual SNP, fully integrated dual SNP, that today nobody has dual SNP in Illinois. Wow. This is new. Yes.
Okay, so this sounds like a pretty big opportunity. And you have some events coming up where I believe you're going to be talking a little bit more about this expansion and what the opportunity could look like for agents in those areas.
Yeah, absolutely. In Ohio, there's a big opportunity. They selected 4 carriers too. CareSource and Molina are 2 newer carriers to the dual SNP space that do not have a lot of market share. So the opportunity with those 2 carriers is significant. We're having events at the end of July in the Columbus area and early August in the Cleveland area. So we'd love you to go look at our registration page and try to register for one of those events. You're going to see, we're going to partner with our 2 carriers there, CareSource and Molina, because they're newer to this space. And I think you'll learn a lot about what that opportunity will be, certainly here in Ohio. And in Illinois, we'll be doing 2 events as well. In the middle of August, again, take a look at the registration page. We'll be in Rockford, Illinois, and in the Chicagoland area.
Okay. Illinois, Ohio, and we're talking about not just agents doing business in those states. You could sell those plans in those states, even if you're working in the surrounding states, correct?
Great question, Sarah. Yeah, absolutely. So if you live in Indiana, you can certainly sell in Illinois if you have a non-resident. Same thing if you're in Ohio and you want to sell into Michigan, and vice versa, as long as you have those non-resident states. Every state is going through some change right now. This is a CMS requirement as we head forward. States are in different positions, and they're handling it a little different way. The government hasn't said exactly what you need to do, other than the administrators you select have to be fully integrated, meaning they handle Medicaid and Medicare administration. They're hoping for some consistency in the administration that the member gets. Use Michigan as an example because it's interesting. They've selected 9 carriers, oh, wow. And they have 10 different regions. It sounds messy, but we'll see how it rolls out.
I'm going to say it does sound messy. It'll be interesting to see, depending on the different ways that the states choose to implement and with the different amount of carriers, how enrollment goes and how, this new process of having these more integrated systems really work out, not just for how simple is it to get these folks enrolled, but also how does the actual care follow through and end up being a better solution for our clients.
Yeah, that is the goal. The goal is to get better service with the integration, and that's why they call it FIDE, fully integrated dual eligibles. Now, folks that are not full duals, meaning partial duals, and there's still about 30% of the dual market partials, approximately, varies based on state. Those can still be administered by the other carriers that were not selected as the chosen fully integrated dual program administrators. So, meaning a United, a Humana, a Devoted, and carriers like that, if they choose to stay in that market. So there's still more to come on that as we go forward.
Okay, well, if you want to have more information, if you are doing business in those states, I would say definitely try to get yourself to one of these events. Big opportunity happening, and Lincoln and his team are going to be going into a little bit more detail during these events, going through exactly what the opportunity is, and also going into the D-SNP setup and how it has changed and trying to simplify that, because we know that some agents want to shy away from the D-SNPs just because it is a little bit more of a technical product. There's a little bit more to know on the back end of it. But I think once you get into it and you start working with it, it does become a lot easier to understand. And I think coming from yourself and others who are working in the space a little more frequently, you guys have a way of being able to explain that I think will help make everything make sense for our agents.
Sarah, that's a really good lead in for Ritter Insurance Marketing. We're probably one of the specialists in the industry as one of the field marketing organizations that handles dual SNPs or D-SNPs, as you want to call them. So if you don't know that space, you want to learn about that space, we'll certainly talk a lot about that. And we have lots of tools and support and systems that will help any broker that may be a little shy about this space or wants to learn more. So we'll learn about what the carriers are doing in this program, but also about Ritter Insurance Marketing and all the tools that we can bring to you and make your life a lot easier.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. Lincoln, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and talk with us here on our Friday 5 episode. And for all the listeners out there, hope you keep it updated here, keep following along with us, because we're going to have Lincoln back to chat with us further about the D-SNP product. But Lincoln, thank you so much for agreeing to be here today to talk with us. And thank you for the invite to these events.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Appreciate your time.
Special thanks again to Lincoln for coming in to talk about the opportunity for D-SNP agents and the events that he and his team will be hosting. To register for these events, use the link in our episode notes. You'll be taken straight to the registration page where you'll be able to choose the event closest to you and see what all will be covered. It is a great opportunity for agents in those states, and we are so excited to be able to bring that to you. And if you're not already, make sure you're following along with the show. We've got another episode with Lincoln coming up. He is joined by Anthony Boudar to talk further about the changes in the D-SNP market and what agents need to know. We don't want you to miss that episode, so follow along with our show. You can do that on Apple, Spotify, or wherever it is you're listening right now. And with that, we are at the end of another episode and another work week. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there. And we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script editing and fact check by Tina Lamoureux. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Follow along with our show wherever you like to listen.